Hello, brothers and sisters in the faith. It's Anthony and Dawn here. It's my wonderful, wonderful wife here who does so very much to keep us going. We love her very much. And wanted to address a Facebook post that she had put up concerning something that Gabi had said concerning PTSD. Um, I started having flashbacks. It's not the first time I've had them in my life, but it's the first time recently, and they got rather strong. And so we sought out a good counselor, a wonderful man by the name of Chris. We'll leave it at that. And he has been working with me for a little over a month now. And we have been making a lot of progress on the traumas that I have endured from childhood abuse and a few other um, experiences in life that left, I'm going to say, emotional scars that need to be dealt with. So for many years, I wasn't permitted to cry. I wasn't allowed to cry. Um, it would. It wasn't safe. It was not physically safe for me to cry for many years, and for varying reasons. Early childhood, there was abuse there, like I said, and later on in life, when I joined into the occult and I was practicing, crying was a sign of weakness, and you did not show weakness in the darkness because that was kind of like putting blood in the water with piranhas and sharks all around. So, for most of my life, I had to keep things very hidden, very structured. That's how I survived. That was my survival mode. My coping mechanisms was to shove it all down and not deal with anything. And so, there's a lot of death and decay. And when Jesus talked about whited sepulchres, he's literally, this is part of what he's talking about. It's another example. Um, the way it was put to me by a good friend was this: you get a beached whale, and that beached whale dies right there on the beach, and they cover it with earth and dirt and whatnot to try and not just cover it up, but you don't want to smell a decaying carcass, let alone a huge whale, because that's going to stink for a very long time. And when a body decomposes, it creates these gases that cause spurts, I guess you would call them, and suddenly you have decaying chunks of flesh and gore just spewing out because the gases are propelling them, because it's literally blowing part of the body out. And that is essentially what's happening with the PTSD. It's memories, it's death and decay that was put on me in a spiritual sense at a young age, and that has to come out. That has to be dealt with. And so we are doing our best to not just deal with that, but to overcome it, to understand it, and then use that knowledge that we have gained dealing with that to turn around and help other people as well, which uh, it's not an easy journey, but at the same point in time, we know that Father God is walking with us, and He is here. He has got His hand over this. He is in control, and that makes it a lot easier to handle. And we have some good friends that are walking with us, and it is a blessing to have them. Um, I won't say names just for their own privacy's sake. And we did have a fundraiser, a GoFundMe, like 6 months ago or something like that, and I would say it was a fairly good success. I mean, it raised a little less than half than what we were looking for, but you know, God gives us what we need. And in bringing that up, I want to say thank you again to everyone that blessed us with that. And is there anything you wanted to add, love? No?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you again. And we are still looking for people to partner with us on a monthly basis. Um, what we do in working with people is a very desperately needed ministry, and at the same point in time, it costs. Nothing is actually free. And so we have been, I guess, skimming along just so, keeping things going on our own. And we have several families that, in all reality, if the funds were there, would be training right alongside of us to do the same thing, to focus on discipleship and focus on facing emotional and spiritual traumas and wounds to better themselves so that they can better serve Christ and better reflect His glory. And that is our endeavor in all of this. This is not to say we're better than anyone or we have arrived, or we've not arrived. If you have arrived, then your body's already dead and you're standing before the judgment throne. Then you've arrived. And once you pass through, that's a whole other subject. But in my mind, I see that there is a lot of people in this area, in northern Lancaster County here, that do see the necessity, and most of those people do not have the means. And unfortunately, that also means that they're pretty much in the same boat we're in. So I'm asking for brothers and sisters to prayerfully consider not just partnering with us, but with any ministries, because honestly, ministries are suffering. A lot of COVID shut down a lot of activities for a lot of people, and I know that it's so easy to forget, especially in quarantine, that there's people out there who literally make their livelihood, I guess you would say, off of ministering to the body as a whole and ministering even to unbelievers. So as we continue to serve God in the capacity that we're called to, we also have to acknowledge that we too have our shortcomings. And again, I'm trying to be transparent here with the PTSD diagnosis and just dealing with it. It's not that I want to go and drag anyone's name through the mud. I'm not looking to say, oh, look what this person did. No, this is simply, I have wounds that need to be healed, and I have a good team of people standing with me. I have a wonderful wife who stands with me. I have wonderful, wonderful daughters that God blessed me so richly with them, and their hearts are just incredibly and awesome. They're on fire. They're wonderful. My daughters have been such an incredible blessing to me on this healing journey, and eventually we do want to see more and more people brought to a place of healing. Just because I have not yet conquered these certain mountains doesn't mean I cannot help others with the mountains I have already conquered. And we've been working with people and we've been having great success. However, we also need to keep in mind that there's a lot of work to be done. And if you don't think that the United States of America needs people to disciple people here at home, essentially missionaries to the continental United States, open your eyes, look around, and tell me what you see. Because honestly, yeah, most of the church is lukewarm. I did a video well over, a year and a half ago, probably more, no, probably close to 2.5 years ago. Anyway, what's happening with the church? And in that video, I simply asked, what's going on with this church? It was a rhetorical question. It's not that I seriously wanted someone to give me an answer. Oh, the church is falling apart because it's lukewarm. I literally meant that video to stir people to think about these questions. A lot of the videos I do is a lot more, not just informative, but also to stir up your mind, stir up your curiosities. What is it that God has called you to? Are you living in the calling that God has for you? Are you following the anointing that He has placed upon you? Are you even listening? Or are you just going through the motions and I can go to church and I read the word and I pray? That's all well and good, but the problem that I have is that far too many people are going through life and ignoring that still small voice when it says, go do this or go do that. And as our Pastor Brad, so beautifully said in his sermon, when Judas Iscariot betrayed Christ, he had a price for his betrayal. He took 30 pieces of silver, which in all reality it didn't make him rich. I mean, it wasn't pennies, but it wasn't thousands either. So, he got a little bit of money. but his motives is really what drove him. So, what's your price for betrayal? At what point do you tell God no? At what point do you say, God, I love you, I love serving you, but I'm not going to do this. And again, Pastor Brad brought up the song "Please Don't Send Me to Africa," and yeah, is that your line? You're not willing to go to Africa? You're not willing to go to a third world country? You're not willing to do what? Part with money, part with possessions, be made a fool? Really? What's your price? Dawn and I have sacrificed so incredibly much, and we continue to do so willingly and joyfully simply because we see that there's a lot of hurting people out there who need someone to literally be there for them. And we are asking outright for help to continue on this mission, and not just a one-time gift, but a regular giving. And I will say outright, we are not 501c3. We have no intention of going 501c3. That's a whole other issue for a whole other time. But I will say this: we have seen a lot of people that are desperate, they are hungry, and they are desiring more. And we are limited as to what we can do simply because, not, I shouldn't say simply because of lack of funds, but lack of funds is a very large part of it. But also, we do need to well, God has told us that the time in the RV is over, and we are looking forward to that. I apologize, there was some distractions going on around me. And we're looking forward to that. We really are. However, a house is a lot more cost intensive than the RV is, and that is more than tripling our monthly need. And yet, with that house comes the ability to host dinners, host meetings, host people who are in desperate, dire need, even being able to work with them there. And on top of that, there's only so much space within the RV, so we desperately do need more space. We've been busting at the seams for quite a while. God has made it clear that we are no longer to pursue the nomadic life, and that as much as I really miss that idea, my heart was really wrapped up in the nomadic life. I very much looked forward to it. I very much enjoyed that, doing a lot of research, talking to people, and as some of you know, we lost my niece Emily right as we were about to leave the state, and the option was there: come back and see Emily or go to Ohio. And we chose to come back, and we buried Emily. And if she'd still be with us, she'd be 17 now. It is a sobering thought. She was such a lively young lady, such a beautiful smile. But I do know that we have chosen correctly, because in the meantime I was able to work with Daryl Champ. I don't know if you've seen the interview I did with him or not, more of an exit interview where we quite literally discussed the time that I spent with him, and well, more like we spent together in the truck, and it was an incredible experience. I really value that. But we are looking at the possibility of doing more of that long term. And I have nothing against short term counseling. It does definitely have its uses. We feel called to do a lot more long term with people who are deeply wounded, that they can walk these things out and have someone with them right there that they can literally keep them from going back into the same rut that they came out of. So, I guess the main bullet points for this video in particular, we do want to be transparent concerning what we're doing and how we're doing it. I'm not really sure how to go about that just yet. We're still honestly trying to figure out how to do this, and And bullet point number 2, we still do need financial help, financial backing, I guess you would say. It is not all about money, don't get me wrong. However, it does cost money to live, and it does cost money to help people. Nothing ever is actually free. As Ronald Reagan once so famously put it, the 9 scariest words are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." I want you to keep that in mind. Nothing's ever actually free. If you get free groceries, someone had to pay to manufacture the packaging. Someone had to pay to have the livestock slaughtered and processed, have the pasta processed, whatever it is. The factories had to be running full bore. That cost money. It had to be trucked out. That cost money. It had to be put in a store. That cost money. It costs someone somewhere something. It's never actually, it might be free for you, but that's because someone else paid for it. And what we're asking for is help in paying for the healing part of the journey for whoever it is that God has for us to work with. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. God bless you. That's not an issue. I do know that there are those that I'm going to say openly. We've had people tell us outright that they have been all but intimidated into not helping us, and I'm not sure who's all involved with that or what's going on there. I don't really have details to share, but I do know that there's other ministries that have had similar things happen to them. And God bless them. If they truly believe that they're serving God, I'm not going to get upset and carry on. That's not going to help anything either. But bless those that curse you. And so we pray special blessings upon those. But on the same point in time, we do ask that if you have a little bit extra and God is moving your heart in such a manner, we would be very grateful for the chance to minister to more people and to impact the other lives for Christ, that we can help them to better live a higher quality of life, emotionally and spiritually speaking. And third bullet point, we also want to update everyone who's following along and let you know that we are actually trying to transition into a house instead of the RV. The RV is it's going to need more work than what it's worth to keep it on the road. And so we are either, even if we were to stay in an RV, we'd have to get another one simply because it's an older unit and the parts are harder to come by and they are rather pricey because it is a heavy vehicle. If it were any heavier than this, it would need air brakes. So, anyway, so much to say. Thank you all very much for your time. Thank you for tuning in and spending this 20 minutes almost here with us. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for your thoughts, your prayers, especially your prayers. I mean, if I can get 20 people praying, that would be great. Prayer covering is essential in what we do. And we, like I said earlier, we do want to be very transparent. The PTSD. There's flashbacks that I get on. Oh, before I forget, my back is also still very much in bad shape. For all intents and purposes, it is actually broken. However, the nerves are still intact, thankfully. But the L5 vertebrae is slipped forward 1 inch. There's absolutely no cartilage on it, and it's constant pressure on both sciatica nerves running down into my legs. So thankfully the warm weather does alleviate a lot of the pain. However, it does limit me to what I can do in my mobility. So we are working on that as well. And we would, again, very much appreciate your prayers. So thank you for your time. God bless you. May He always smile upon you. And thank you.